The women in Latin America, they're all fabulous, very beautiful, very family-oriented, and a lot to offer anybody. Take that a step further. As attractive as they are, as much as they have to offer, the vast majority of them will not meet anybody. The vast majority of them will not, if 1% of the guys are ever going to get on the plane and go and meet them. So we need more of you guys to step up and find that special person who's out there waiting on the other side of this experience to be discovered for you. Guys ask me all the time, what are the differences between the women in Ukraine and the women in Latin America in general? And it's kind of interesting. The women in Latin America, the women in Ukraine, they're all fabulous, very beautiful, very family-oriented, and a lot to offer anybody. But there are some differences that I think are worth considering, so let's break those down for you a little bit. I think the first real difference is average family size. Women in Latin America come from relatively large families. It's not at all unheard of for a woman in Colombia, for example, to have 3, 4, 5 siblings. Women in Ukraine typically come from smaller families where they may be the only sibling, the only child that is, or they may have a sibling, a brother. There rarely are more than 2 children in a Ukrainian family. It just doesn't work out that way. I think Ukrainian culture generally believes that it's better to have a child that you can give all of your resources to, since your resources are probably going to be kind of limited along the way, than to have a number of children that you can't give resources to. Whereas in Latin America, it's just very common for the women that come from large families. Another difference, as we're talking about families, I suppose, would be how many children are in the family, right? We've talked about a large number of siblings. Well, how many children do Latin women expect to have? I think most of the time they want to have 2, 3, maybe 4 children. They themselves want to have a large family. That's just what they're used to. That's just kind of their paradigm. Women in Ukraine, of course, probably want to have a child. There are a lot of single moms that have registered with us in Ukraine, so a lot of the women that you're going to meet are already going to have a child, and that probably suits them just fine. Might be open to having another child with you. The women in Latin America are definitely 2 children, 3 children minimum, probably 4 children or more. So think about that, guys, right? Religion is also another area where the two cultures differ. Generally speaking, the women in Latin America, they're very embedded in their faith. It's a part of their daily lives. They want to stay that way. They want to be true to their religion and their faith and their family and their upbringing. Women in Ukraine have less exposure to religion. There's some exposure to the Orthodox Church in Ukraine, and there's certainly a lot of cultural respect for it. Services in Ukraine in a church haven't really modernized very much. They're long. Women generally stand most of the time, and I would say most of the women that you're going to meet in Ukraine don't go to church regularly, will go on holidays with family members and that sort of thing. Of course, in Latin America, the women, again, very embedded in their typically Catholic faith. They go to church all the time. It's very important to them. It's part of their everyday lives, and that should be meaningful to you, something to keep in mind. I would say the women in Colombia, a younger crowd than the average women that you're going to meet in Ukraine. In Ukraine, we have women in their 20s. We have a lot of women in their 30s, a lot of women in their 40s. In Colombia, I think the majority of the women that you're going to meet are under the age of 35. And again, there's about a 9% divorce rate in Colombia these days. In Ukraine, divorce is very, very common, just like it is here in the States. And it's not all the women's fault. It's difficult for men in Ukraine to be productive. It's difficult for them to get jobs. They work very hard, the men in Ukraine. They're very educated, but there just aren't a lot of resources for them. So by the time, they hit their early 30s, they become very, very disillusioned and frustrated. And their way of dealing with that are some escapist behaviors that just aren't really healthy for relationships, like staying out late at night, drinking with your friends, messing around with women, that kind of thing. So I think you'll find that typically the women come to us younger in Latin America, and they want to get married. They want to start families that are going to be fairly large. And in Ukraine, the women, they come to us probably most of the time in their mid-20s, early 30s. They've been married, they've been divorced. Many of them already have a child. They very much are looking for a knight on a horse. They're looking for a hero who will come into their lives and be reliable and be stable and all the things that their men can't be. Those are just some of the basic differences that I wanted to break down for you to help you guys decide where it is that you want to go and meet lots and lots of beautiful women. if you choose Latin America, you're going to meet an insanely large number of extremely nice women, and we're looking forward to hosting you on a tour soon.
You too can experience the romantic adventure of a lifetime. Join men from all over the world as they take a trip and find their future brides. Interested? Learn more at
MedellинWomen.com.
If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Then click on the notice bell to get notified every time we add something new.